Welcome to Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition playthrough with Ungainly Titan. Following on from the previous, which is part 1 of the Peninsula District of chapter 1, we're now in part 2 and we're on the second level of the prison complex, and we run into a guard who has managed to evade capture, and he's taken us into a room that can be secured internally. So you just pull the lever, the door shuts and it's locked and the bad guys cannot get in. So you can question him to your heart's content, find out more information before you proceed to clear out the rest of the complex, or clear out the rest of this level at any rate. I'm running the video at double speed, in case you're wondering, and I'm going to cover the essentials, I think, of this level as well, the same as I did in the previous episode. So there's a couple of comments that I think I need to make. One of them is that I noticed or really realised when I was making or editing the previous episode, the part 1 of the Peninsula District episode, that I'd made a grievous mistake building the character. I built a finesse character and I didn't include the weapon finesse feat. So I'm not actually using my dex to fight with. And I made a second mistake here, that I went into the central room. This is the toughest fight in this level, is in the central room. There's a sorcerer here, and he's a difficult enough character to deal with. And the other problem is that he's difficult to get at until you get rid of all the mob around him. But because I hadn't cleared the corridors around, as I'm fighting the sorcerer, more and more prisoners are coming in from the side corridors because they're hearing the fight. So this fight's become way tougher than it ought to be, and it's also more difficult. The whole episode has actually been more difficult because I've been playing with a considerably subpar character. I mean, I'm running on a +3 to hit, whereas I should be running on a +6. Actually, I think I'm only 16 dex, so I probably should be running on a +5 at any rate. But still, it's a considerable difference. 2 points is a fair difference at this level, given the way the armor classes and challenge ratings and stuff work in 3rd edition. All I can say in excuse of it is that it was a long time ago. 2002 was when the first Neverwinter Nights was released, and then 2003, 2004 for the other 2 expansions. So it's quite a while since I've been playing Neverwinter Nights. And while I was playing 3rd edition up until 2008, when 4th edition came out and I switched over to 4th edition, I was one of the few people who was enthusiastic about 4th edition, still liked it. There's still a lot of things I like about it. But however, that had a completely different way of treating weapon finesse, as far as I know. It was much the same as what's in 5th edition. If it's finessable and you have dex is higher, then you run it off a dex. So I have made this fight a lot more difficult by forgetting to build the character correctly. So the next level up, I'm going to have to correct this. I think I can change my feats when I level up. Not 100% sure. Can't remember at this stage. But I'm going to have to see when I go through it for the next part, which will probably be the Beggar's Nest episodes. And as soon as I get a level up, I think I'm going to have to investigate doing something about this, because this is going to be painful if I keep doing it the way it's done. And I probably need to make more use of buff potions. I'm probably not buffing my character enough before fights, at least in the early days, until you can get permanent buffing items. At least for the boss fights. The use of buff potions. Now, I've been using Bless alright, but Bless and Aid are actually really good. But for the boss fights, I probably should be using Bear's Endurance, Cat's Grace, Bull Strength as well. It all helps. Because I think even in 3rd edition with finesse attacks, the bonus is just to the attack with the finesse, with weapon finesse, and the damage is still done off of strength, if I remember correctly. The other thing that occurred to me when I was watching and editing the previous episode of the Peninsula District adventure for this game was that people might wonder why I chose a female avatar. Well, it's kind of a Neverwinter Nights thing with me. Around that time I was playing a character, I'm still playing it, but it was originally in Palladium and it was female and it was a Ranger Warlock. in Palladium, and then we translated over. We moved to 3rd edition and became a Ranger Wizard. But caster, non-caster multiclassing in 3rd edition was really poor. It was really suboptimal. So the character went from being grossly overpowered in Palladium to being ineffective, really, in 3rd edition. And at the time, I started playing Neverwinter Nights. I was becoming aware of this, that the character was suboptimal, and I was experimenting using Neverwinter Nights to see if I could overcome the weaknesses of a multi-classed caster character. Never quite managed it, but I got into the habit of creating female characters for Neverwinter Nights, which I haven't done so to the same extent in other MMOs or fantasy role-playing games, either MMOs or single-player fantasy role-playing games. I haven't done it to the same extent. But in Neverwinter, yeah, almost every character I ever played in Neverwinter was a female avatar. So I started Neverwinter and I didn't even think about it. I just went back to the old habits. So that bit I remembered. By virtue of drawing the mobs into the central fight and making the central fight a lot tougher, there isn't actually much left in this level. There are a couple of storerooms. That's actually the exit down to the next level. There are a couple of side storerooms that we haven't explored, and we haven't really gone around the cells. But other than that, we haven't. There isn't much else to see. So I'm going to kind of skip through to the end. And you can see the extra side rooms have appeared there in the minimap. Then you come to the pit. This is the final level of the prison complex. There is one chamber beyond that. It's a separate level where you figure out and find out what's going on with the head jailer and what exactly has happened to him and solve the mystery. However, this thing is a fair bit of a maze. Now, I remember this being a lot worse. I remember it being a lot darker. I remember not being able to see the walls and the doors from the middle of the room. Now, admittedly, it was, 2002, which is, the bones of 20 years ago. 16 years ago. 17 years. I'm not sure if I bought Neverwinter Nights when it came out, so it might have been out. So it could have been nearly 2003 by the time I got it. Although I'd say I got it not long after it coming out, because I remember hearing it quite well received at the time, and it was, I think it was the first computer role-playing game that I actually enjoyed. I had tried Icewind Dale and I didn't like him. I don't like having to manage the whole party. I also have trouble navigating in RPG maps, as you can see there, when I go out the exit door. So I had real trouble with this originally, because I couldn't see where I was going, and I eventually, I remember, got into the habit of actually navigating by watching the arrow on the minimap as to figure out what way I was facing. That said, I am looking at it on a much higher screen. I have a high definition 1080p screen, and I am looking at it in a 27-inch screen compared to a 17-inch portrait CRT monitor or whatever it was that I was using at the time. Probably something along those lines at any rate. I doubt if I had anything better. And of course, I probably had a decent enough graphics card, but I didn't have top of the line graphics either. I do know that I'm pretty sure that when I bought the game, the computer I had at the time actually wasn't good enough, and I think I owned the game for about 6 months before I had the money to buy a computer that was actually capable of running it. And it wasn't just a graphics card upgrade. I needed to buy the whole shebang and upgrade everything at the time. However, we navigate our way through this place. So it's a series of chambers. They're all irregularly shaped, and they're like this. And they've got a various amounts of prisoners in them. Now, I can't remember whether these things were all predetermined spawns or whether there's a certain amount of randomization going on. I know the script engine is capable of randomly generating encounters, because I remember playing with the encounter system, or the module design system at the time. It's quite a simple module design system, and when I complete the walkthrough I might show what I remember at the very least, or show some of the basics of playing around with the module design system. But yeah, there was a script engine that you could do quite a bit with that, because I remember somebody actually, I think, when 3.5 came out, somebody came in and rewrote, insofar as it could be done, a modification script engine to change some of the things that were changed. There were some pretty amazing things done with the by the community in terms of mods and stuff with this game originally, and I would love if they're bringing it out again. Well, they have brought it out, but I'd love if they actually revamped some of the mods as well to take into account the new updated graphics, because obviously if you scaled up the original graphics to what screens was double the resolution, maybe at least, possibly double the resolution of the original, and on screens that are 1.5 times as big, maybe twice as big. I'm sure there's people out there with 30-inch monitors and stuff like that, so they would the original graphics would have looked pretty blocky. You notice we ran into a gang boss there, and we're now in the final chamber. To my right there is a passage leading down to the pit boss, the prisoner that was running the pits and was mentioned, I think, in dialogues with the guards that we rescued along the route, certainly by guards that were the diaries of the prison diaries and stuff like that. I'm going back around just to show some of the other chambers so that you can revisit or reveal most of the stuff on the map. This door gives me quite a bit of trouble as well. But then I've probably not optimally built my PC, even for a multi-class character. I could probably have done a better build. I've forgotten a lot about building in 3rd edition or building in Neverwinter Nights. I used to be quite the expert on it. But I have not remembered it this time, and I didn't do every room on the peninsula either, so there would have been extra encounters. I could probably be a level higher by the time I got here, or if we really maximized every encounter and maximized every opportunity. And there's also, I think, if I probably went to the Moonstone Mask, you can probably get thieves' tools and stuff like that as well to purchase. This is another sorcerer encounter, and as you can see, the party is dead except for me. This guy has a similar script that he runs by as the guy on the floor above. So he starts off, he buffs himself up, and then he starts burning hands and some kind of fire magic, and then he switches to ray of frost, I think, and electric loop or something like that. I think the burning hands is not affecting me because I think I'm making the saves and I've probably got an evasion or uncanny dodge. I'm not sure which one it is or which one's the more effective at this level. I think it's evasion, and I think it's rogues and rangers get it. Rogues get it at a fairly low level and rangers get it at a higher level, and barbarians may get it. I'm not sure. Again, I have forgotten a lot of the intricacies of the 3.5 builds. We will eventually get him, so we do, and then we do a bit of looting, but I didn't stick around and I triggered the trap because I walked straight onto the step instead of stopping further back and waiting for the trap to appear on the search. Since I've used or cleared the room, I used the portal stone to come back to the Temple of Tyr, so I can collect Linu and have a full party again for the remainder of the dungeon. Because I used the portal stone, I'm going to have to use the portal to return and pay the 50 gold pieces. So there's one other, I think there are 2 more chambers, or 2 or 3 more chambers from here between us. You can see the gap on the map, and that leads directly to another chamber, which can go directly to the exit. But there is another chamber on the left, on the western side of the map, from this as well, at least one more chamber. This is the door that we couldn't open at the other side. That is the passage on my left now, leading to the exit. And I just skipped the exploration of the final rooms. I walked into it and walked into another trap, but that guy nearly killed me because I was stunned and he got his sneak attack in. So I had hit the spacebar to pause to get Linu to heal me, and this is the guy who was the boss of the pits. at the time that the prisoners were released, and he has done me in. So I resummon my beastie, and then I use your man to go straight back into the fight for free. I then leave the tougher party members to engage the bad guy directly, and I just stand off. And as I get to higher levels, you'll see me doing more and more of this when I have more and more spells. This guy doesn't go all the way to 0. He will surrender when he gets he knows he's been bested, and you can talk to him. You can find out a little bit more about what's ahead, what's been going on, and you then get the option of letting him go, or you can continue the fight. You basically threaten him and say, right, where do you think you're going, Buster? I'm going to kill you, sort of thing. It does affect your alignment. I think there is an alignment system in the game, and I think depending on how you respond to these kind of issues, people, particularly people on the good side of the alignment, like Linu and Dale End, for instance, become less friendly. They never uncooperate with you. I'm not sure if they ever... No, I've never tried playing an out-and-out evil character, so I don't know if they'll ever refuse to go with you as a hedge person. Now we're into the final level. I'll just pause it here for a moment. You can see the head jailer, and you see one of the guards over there. If you came in on your own, especially if you had sneak abilities, you can go up to the guards and you can persuade them to run away. And if you do so, I had forgotten about it, but if you do that, they are actually far less likely. Well, they will run away. It's not that terribly difficult to persuade them to run away. And if they run away, the Intellect Devourer, when it kills the head jailer, doesn't have any other hosts to move into. So it goes directly to the end fight. Now I've leveled up there. But if the guards are alive around, then the Intellect Devourer will run from guard to guard until all the guards are gone. Now I've persuaded one of them to run away. When there are no guards left, the Intellect Devourer then will fight you directly. But he doesn't take any damage while he's inside a host. So the only way to really bring the hit points of the Intellect Devourer down is to get rid of all the hosts and then fight him directly. I remember that the first time I had this fight, I remember finding it quite a difficult fight. But I'm not too sure whether that was because I was under-leveled. I wasn't necessarily all that conscientious about going through side quests or exploring all the options, so that I may have, for instance, not cleared. Like I could have gone down to the sewers, found the key, beaten the gang boss, and gone straight in the front door. So the whole back of the prison and the area around, say, Tanglebrook Estate might not have still have had a mobs in it, and therefore that was so much experience that I hadn't collected, and there might have been other areas around the map that I hadn't completely explored. From the way Linu walks away there, I suspect that the attack from the psychic attack from the Intellect Devourer isn't just a stun effect, it's also maybe an element of confusion about it, because it just seems the way she walked away and as if she didn't know where the enemy was. Another thing I have noticed, I'm not 100% certain whether it's the use of a potion or the use of something on the spell bar that causes it, or whether it's something that just happens. But I've noticed several times in the course of this playthrough that I've had to re-click on the target and activate the attack mode in order to attack. That for some reason or other my character sometimes seems to forget they're in a fight, so to speak, and they just stop attacking, like they are now. And I died there, and I took advantage then of this to level up. So this was a level up. So I'll have a while before I have the level up again, before I'll have an opportunity to level up and actually take Weapon Finesse, or swap out whatever feat that I took and take Weapon Finesse instead. So we level up and we have to figure out what skills we want to keep up and all the rest of it, and try and maximize the skills that are most useful. So generally you want listen, spot, search, lockpicking obviously. Disable traps, yeah, you don't need, probably is good. You could also use, like I said, later on you get a lot of buff stuff, so you get a lot of things like Thieves' Tools and various other things with very high numbers. You get a lot of stuff with very high numbers to boost your character. So that is one of the things about, in terms of the multi-classing build, that it didn't matter really in Neverwinter Nights what way you multi-class to a certain extent, because an awful lot of the stuff you get and an awful lot of the items you get will compensate for almost any build that you choose to do. Particularly in Hordes of the Underdark, you get some massive bonus equipment with huge amounts of special effects added in. So we eventually defeat the Intellect Devourer, and I skipped the looting and final searching. We come back to the Lady Arabeth and we give her the stuff that we have collected, and we let her know that we found what we found out, what happened in the Peninsula District, and the brains of the Intellect Devourer, which you will need for the ingredients for the spell. You get a reward from Lady Arabeth, and you also get a reward from the militia officer in the Peninsula District, the one that's beside the merchant down at the corner, furthest away from the gate. I'm just reviewing my journal entries. And at the very end, I walk down to the militia officer, because obviously if I use the portal stone, I'll be down at the bottom level of the prison, and it's probably quicker to walk directly from the Temple of Tyr to the militia officer's location rather than walking from the bottom of the prison to the militia officer's location. However, I'm just skipping through it there and just showing it to the final end. So anyway, that ends the first chapter of Neverwinter Nights. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't already done so, please give the channel a subscription. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.